If you were to play a game of 6 degrees of separation with our next honoree, you'd likely lose. You see, his world often involves 1 degree of separation. It seems in broadcasting, everybody knows Neal Shapiro. Indeed, we witnessed this at the last in-person Giants luncheon, if you'll recall, where so many of the honorees acknowledged Neal in their acceptance speeches that the few who hadn't either worked with him or had a story to tell about him quickly added his name to their remarks and thanked him anyway. It was hilarious. Imagine being able to keep an audience emotionally engaged without even trying. Neal honed his craft as a writer and producer for Peter Jennings, traveling the world for World News Tonight and later ABC's Primetime Live. He became the executive producer of Dateline NBC, the first primetime multi-night news magazine. He oversaw the production of breaking news stories like Oklahoma City's bombing, the death of Princess Diana, the Columbine tragedy, the war in Kosovo, and the Clinton impeachment. Dateline went from 1 night to 2 nights to 3, 4, and finally an astonishing 5 nights a week, with approximately 800 news stories a year. I remember the nightly story pitch packed, squeezed into giant binders. That kid went on to become president of NBC News, where he led additional top-rated programs like The Today Show, NBC Nightly News, and Meet the Press. And since 2007, this zealot of broadcasting has been the president and CEO of the WNET Group, overseeing Channel 13, WLIW 21, NJPBS, and All Arts, which is dedicated 24/7 to arts and culture. The group produces wonderful, acclaimed PBS series like Great Performances, American Masters, Nature, Amanpour and Company, PBS NewsHour Weekend, Secrets of the Dead, and Treasures of New York, to name just a few. Since Neal has already won 32 Emmys, 31 Murrow Awards, and several Peabodys and a couple of Columbia DuPont Awards, that big cobalt blue Giants Bowl is really going to stand out. And I happen to know because we live together and we've been married for 25 years. And honey, we're really, frankly, running out of space for all your awards. But this one, I know, will have an honored place. Congratulations, Neal.
Let me start with this. This is a tape message. I say that because I've seen our host, also my wife, MC many times, and if this were live, I know she would tease me or try to embarrass me about something. And believe me, there's a lot to work with. But since we're not live, and I don't know what she said in her intro, I'll just say, thank you, Juju. I'll have more to say about you just a bit later. And that, of course, is foreshadowing. Just one tool I use to stretch a 7-minute crime story into a 2-hour Dateline murder mystery. And if this were a Dateline, we'd say, let's go back to where it all began. In this case, Albany, New York. It turns out my interest in broadcasting began in utero. My mother picked my middle name, Barry, because she was worried about anti-Semitism and thought if I went on TV, I could drop my last name. Neal Barry sounded a lot less Jewish. As a young boy, when I wasn't mesmerized watching television, I was thinking about being on it. I borrowed my father's movie camera one day to interview my sister. I was 6, she was 3. It was an early lesson in the importance of a guest with at least a modest vocabulary. Soon I was turning down the sound on baseball's Game of the Week so I could do my own play-by-play. I understand Bob Costas did the same thing as a boy, and Bob, don't worry, I'm sure it'll all come in handy eventually. When I was 15, I got my radio license so I could read the news on the air on WOKO 1460 Albany. I also had a DJ, and I was probably the only Jewish DJ doing country gospel. I just realized it should have been Neal Barry doing that. But back to our story. My parents, especially my dad, was worried his son was no Bob Costas and urged me to go to law school. Later, my parents watched with pride my unlikely ascent in television, and they would have gotten such a kick out of the fact that now I'm a giant of broadcasting. So let me just say, I'm so honored to be included in this year's incredible class of inductees, and I want to acknowledge just how lucky I've been. You know, so often I ended up at the right place at the right time. In Berlin, the day the wall fell. In the Philippines, when the Marcos government tumbled. In New York, running NBC News on 9/11. Throughout my career, I've had bosses who gave me all kinds of opportunities and saw more potential in me than I knew I had. And I've been so lucky to work with so many talented people from different perspectives and backgrounds. I can't name all of them because we'd be here until the Jets win the Super Bowl. But I can say they taught me so much and often made my ideas so much better. It's that creative process that I really love about broadcasting. The researchers who find new material, the camera crews and editors who add a distinct look, the reporters and anchors who bring their own questions and vision, the executives who shape and sharpen the story, and of course the lawyers who keep us all out of jail. So if I am a giant, it's only because I stand on the shoulders of so many. And that includes all my current colleagues at the WNET Group and PBS. My job now has me on the air a lot, so people recognize me and tell me how much it means to them to see media that informs or inspires. It reminds me what great impact we have when we all do our jobs well. Now, I said I won't call out anyone, but there is that one person, you remember. I said I'd have more to say about her when I started telling you the story just 2 hours ago. Juju Chang is the reason that I've been able to hold a series of demanding jobs and still be able to enjoy our lives and our 3 great sons. That's only happened because Juju has been so supportive and so understanding through it all. And I think she'd love me even if I never became a giant at all. So how's this for a great throw in broadcasting? Honey, back to you.